All right, guys, we're here to discuss Week 7 NFL Fantasy Football Draft Picks, targeting FanDuel specifically, which does week-to-week leagues. I'm going to be focusing on Sunday. I do not do Monday and Thursday. I do not foresee ever doing Mondays and Thursday games. My focus is entirely on Sunday. So, first, let's review Week 6 picks. The question that I always get asked, that a lot of you guys want to know, is do I win? How often do I win? The last couple of weeks, I've won every single league I've got into, but I want to prepare you for the fact that I do not play the massive lottery leagues where you see 60,000 people. I go either head to head against other people, or I go into the 50-50 leagues, which you will find a 50-50 league. If you don't know what that means, is it means you have a 50-50 chance of winning. If 100 people get in, there will be 50 winners. You will not win as much, but your probability of winning is much, much higher. So uh, in week 6, I would say that I don't really have any major upsets towards the week. I ended up scoring over 130 points based upon what I did put up. I did make a change. I ended up using Brandon Oliver as my secondary running back. With the whole Miami issue with the injury and possibly coming back, you can read about it on the other video. I posted a change, and I will try to update you guys if I make a drastic change. And sometimes I do make changes because in the world of football, things change. People get injured, people can be suspended, other things can happen. It's the real world, guys. This isn't a video game. These guys could get into a car accident. They may not even be in the game. That shit happens. I mean, one of the stories, I forget what team it was years ago. One of the coaches in the 90s actually started locking down his players during the season. I can't remember what team it was though. Anyways, getting into week 7, if you watch the Cowboys and the Seahawks game, which was the game that I basically focused on the most because of, like I had said, it was going to be a statement game for the Cowboys, and they won. Now they are a contender, and they fared amazingly well in defense. I've read a couple articles that are trash talking, but the reality is they kept Seattle at just barely over 200 yards. That's that's a playoff defense, guys, which is actually going to jump into my first Week 7 pick. I think it's ridiculous that going up against the Giants, we're only going to be putting 4,600 for the Cowboys. So I'm snatching that up. They had an amazing week against the Seahawks. If they can stop the Seahawks at this point, these guys have rebounded from the last 3 years. They're going to be able to stop anybody. They're only getting better and better every game, and now they're going up against one of their own divisional teams. Giants had a horrible week last week. Yeah, they're going to rebound. They're going to try harder, but the Cowboys are coming off of a euphoric win. Nobody saw this win coming, guys. They are going to be so high off of themselves. They're going to stomp everybody into the ground. I think next week. That there's always the chance that they may get cocky, but with the way the Cowboys have played the last few years, I don't think they're going to get cocky. You also have to look into the fact that Victor Cruz is gone. I don't know if you guys saw his injury. It looked like the knee issue. I've dealt with knee issues myself. If anybody has ever had a knee issue, it's not. It can be a life-changing injury. Look at RG3. The fact that he's never going to play like he did after his knee injury. With Victor Cruz gone, that would basically be like the Cowboys losing Dez Bryant. So everything's favoring the Cowboys for this game. Going to kickers, and yes, I am working backwards this week. I'm going to end up going with Shane Graham with the New Orleans Saints. Detroit has an amazing defense, and I think that they actually have the chance to win the game. But the thing is that this also has a good chance to be a shootout game because Drew Brees is Drew Brees. Everybody knows that the man's got an arm. The man's going to be able to make up the distance. I see this being a good game for a kicker. It's also a cheap game. I always try to save money with the kickers because the reality is you don't need Dan Bailey, who I think is what's he? I think he's Dan Bailey's 5,500. Guy's an amazing kicker, but guess what? Who did I have last week? What's his face from Tennessee? He still got me, I think, 11 points. Well, 11 points, that was worth his, I think, like 45 or $4,600 price tag. With tight ends, I don't really have a whole lot to say this week. I would always love to get somebody like Thomas or Antonio Gates, but the problem is these guys are too much money, and tight ends, it's always iffy with them. So I try to stick with the tight end who I feel has a good shot. And Escobar did great, but I think Escobar at the last game with Seattle, his greatness was kind of more of a throw in somebody that they don't have a lot of real footage on. You don't see Escobar in the game very much. So it was somebody who Seattle probably hadn't prepared against. Going up against a divisional team, the Cowboys are going to just throw in their standard line. I don't really see them changing him out unless he gets hurt. So with that said, I'm going to end up going with Jason Witten again, guys. He's stayed pretty consistent. He's worth the hefty price tag. He did get his first touchdown this last week against. Damn, where the hell is he at? There we go. He did get his first touchdown of the season against the Seahawks. He will get more touchdowns as the year goes on. There's a reason why he is as amazing of a tight end as he is. Uh, Now with wide receivers, this is going to kind of go against my normal trend that you guys have been noticing. I am not this time around going to be loading up on who I go with quarterbacks. And my quarterback choice, I'm waiting until the end because some of you guys are probably going to laugh. For wide receivers, I'm going to actually be loading up on the Arizona Cardinals. With Carson Palmer back, Fitzgerald has basically been a beast. Uh, he's always been a beast, but the thing is, he's Carson Palmer's number one target. He had an amazing game. He's going to continue to have an amazing game, and I'm taking his wingman, Floyd. They're going up against Oakland guys who had a good week this week, but the problem is they had a good week after a bye week and they had it at home. Okay, now they just got hit with another defeat. Now they're 5-0. Is there a chance they're going to win the game against Arizona? Absolutely. There's always a chance. But you know what? A team that's 5-0 is going to start getting aggravated. You're going to see the penalties. I watched the Chargers game. If you guys did too, there's tons of penalties. This team is notorious for penalties anyways. This is not the year to be doing it. I think that's part of the reason they're losing some of these games is because they're getting out there and they're getting the typical Oakland Raider chip on the shoulder. So I'm going to end up going with the fact that regardless of who's been at quarterback position for Arizona this year so far, they've been doing amazingly well. So I'm loading up on them, and I'm going to go against Oakland. Now, for running back, everybody knows, if you followed my channel at all, I love DeMarco Murray. If the guy can run for over 100 yards against one of the best defenses in the league, he's going to run for over 100 yards against every single person. That makes him worth that price tag because you know what? That's almost 20 guaranteed points every single game, every single week. There is no other player I think out there right now who's worth that rock solid price. Even Andrew Luck this week, he's going against the Bengals, but there's no way to know if that's actually going to pan out. So I won't pay the extra 600 for him. You know, DeMarco Murray, he is DeMarco Murray. We're going to see him continuing to break records, which, by the way, if you guys don't know, DeMarco Murray's standing up to break a record this week. If he can get over 100 yards, forget whose record he's breaking. But the thing is that if he can get his 7th consecutive game, I think he's going to only be the 3rd running back in NFL history to do that. And his team's on board to help him. So the fact of the matter is they're going to go up against the Giants, who don't have the best defense. They're nowhere near as good as the Seahawks. They're going to probably be off their game with losing Cruz. Even though it's a defense, they're still going to be losing one of their star players. You know, it's a member of your team. It's one of your brothers. He's not going to be on the field with you. There's a good chance that the Cowboys are going to be able to come into this game and run their ass off. So now this is going to leave 3 slots open. Now, I said you guys probably won't like my pick, or you might be a little shocked by it. But here's the thing: I want Andrew Luck. I think he's going to do a good job. If you guys can work him in, I would go with him. I think he's going to have a good game. I'm not really feeling a whole lot of the other high dollar quarterbacks. Nobody else has really been delivering. I think Peyton Manning has a shot, but God damn it, not for 10 grand. So I'm actually going to be stepping outside of my realm and be going with someone I absolutely hate, which is Russell Wilson. The Seahawks lost this game against the Cowboys, and it's going to hurt them bad. These are guys who are egotistical. I hate this team. I don't really like it. I'm sorry if you're a Seattle fan, but they are egotistical. The shit that they said after the Super Bowl last year, Sherman's attitude, he's not the only one in the game. They are great players, don't get me wrong. They're amazing players. They know their skill set. They know how badass they are. That's the problem. That being said, I also know that they only gave Mr. Lynch the ball 10 times. And a lot of people are catching hell for that. Their offensive coordinator is already being blasted all over the interwebs for the fact that he only gave Lynch the ball 10 times. Now they're going to go up against the Rams, who have one of the worst. I think they're ranked 30 in running defense. Marshawn Lynch I'm sorry, is going to run his ass off, and the offensive coordinator is going to be trying to make up for all the flack he's catching for losing to a team that has, in the last 3 years, been one of the laughing stocks of the NFL. So yeah, I definitely am going to load up on Seattle. Now, I always stick with my normal trend. I'm always going to grab a Seattle receiver or a receiver who matches who my quarterback is, because I don't have a whole lot left in funds. And you guys will probably want to go with something different. I'm not saying that my strategies are always the best. I'm just giving you my strategies based off of the things that I do. I'm gonna end up going with Jermaine from the Seattle Seahawks. He's $5 grand. He's a decent wide receiver. I don't see them throwing the ball a whole lot, so I don't really see Seattle uh, hitting the targets. So I'm not willing to dump in the 7,200 for Percy. I don't think the guy's going to be worth it. I think that Seattle is going to be basing their entire attack on running the ball. It's going to be a great way for them to come back and say, oh yeah, we were saving ourselves for the Rams. That's why we didn't run the ball so much against Dallas. And it's going to allow them to bounce back with Lynch and say, yeah, we still are the champions and we still are badass. And they're going to basically rebound off of a lesser team, if you will. So, anyways, guys, that's going to be my picks. There'll be more stuff posted on my blog throughout the week as I read some of the articles, ones I may or may not agree with, give you guys an insight, hopefully help you. Again, you may not like my picks. I'm just trying to give you guys a little bit of info. When I started in fantasy football, I started reading and watching everything I could because so many different people have different perspectives, and you might hear something that you agree with that makes you sit back and go, wow, that's a good pick, or makes you sit back and go, maybe I shouldn't go with that pick. So there'll be more tips as the weeks go on. Good luck in your matches, and I hope you guys made some decent money this last Sunday. Take it easy.